It's this validation that women in particular get from the opposite sex that pushes this thing down the line, which is why you have websites like OnlyFans that are so popular for lewd and nude content. It's not just for porn stars, it's for everyday people who think, I get it's a dual-pronged thing. I get money out of it, but I also get all these comments and people telling me how beautiful I am.
So I never want to be considered like that. And I mean, people leave comments on my videos, on my YouTube videos, and they'll say things like, why is your top low cut? And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't want to be in a burqa. I mean, I could. If you ask nicely, maybe it might happen, like a nice blue
That'd
one.
be hot. Now, along the similar lines, these are topics that I try to point out to and talk about, especially on social media a lot. Things that people would call eGirls and the website OnlyFans, which you also did a video on, and how it sort of relates to a sort of type of political theater. Can you kind of expand on that, what you mean about that? I noticed you were talking about people use the term grifting a lot in terms of, especially right-wing politics with e-girls and stuff like that. Can you expand on that for us?
The e-girl thing is so interesting because I don't want to shame women for the actions that they take on the internet. If you want to take a photo half naked with a Trump flag wrapped around you, that's really your prerogative.
I do actually.
Well, that's good. I mean, maybe you could have a really, successful Instagram account. And it's funny that I'm saying I don't want to pass judgment, even though I'm over here passing judgment on people who overeat. I'm not infallible, and I'm not, always ideologically consistent. But like when it comes to these women, I don't want to be one of these people that's out here going, oh, you're a slut for doing this, because I don't know anything about you. What I do find frustrating, though, is that I think it delegitimizes like the conservative movement. And then by the same token, I'm also not a conservative or, conservative libertarian who says to people, oh, what are you conserving just because you take photos like this? But the e-thought thing I think is really interesting because, and the video that I made about it was pointing out that there is a correlation, I think, between loneliness in men and women, but predominantly men, and subscribing to OnlyFans or taking part in, I guess, maybe even obsessing over these women who, again, are taking their clothes off online for money. And particularly I was talking about the for money element. And I think that really just goes to show that there's a really sort of uncomfortable thing happening where we've gotten so far from each other. And social media has played such a big role in making it difficult for people to connect and communicate effectively, which is kind of ironic when you think about it. And it's leaving a lot of people just very unfulfilled. So the lonelier men get, I really think it's fair to say that the more popular OnlyFans gets. And interestingly, too, I got a lot of flack for that video about OnlyFans. But I also got a lot of messages and comments and sort of correspondence from people who say, I'm an OnlyFans subscriber and you're nail on the head. You've hit the nail on the head. I am a lonely person and I want the human interaction because I don't feel I can get it in other places.
Now, I would say obviously it's not a healthy thing for young women. I have several nieces. I have like 13 nieces and nephews overall. I wouldn't want them to. I wouldn't want them to aspire to do anything like that. But I think that's fairly obvious. But aside from that, when I see adult women like doing this thing where they snap and their outfits change, or they're doing like provocative dances and they're like in their late 30s and 40s, I don't think that's a good thing to aspire to as an adult either. Do you think that comes from loneliness and having nothing to do also? Or what is the goal? Is it just to become a social media influencer?
I think it's a multi-pronged, I think there's a myriad of reasons why people do these things. I certainly believe that, especially for young women, I think that the validation that people get from posting, provocative things on the internet, whether that be pictures, videos, whatever, I think that there is an element of attention that they get, with the likes and the comments, and it is addictive, that sort of pushes them forward with continuing to do those things. And it's this validation that women in particular get from the opposite sex that pushes this thing down the line, which is why you have websites like OnlyFans that are so popular for lewd and nude content. It's not just for porn stars, it's for everyday people who think, I get it's a dual-pronged thing. I get money out of it, but I also get all these comments and people telling me how beautiful I am. So I think that's a really huge part of it. I mean, I can testify to this as a woman. When I was in my teens, and thankfully, I'm so glad I didn't have an iPhone or an Android or anything like that until I was, I think about 19 was when I got my first one. But I sort of I can relate. You know, I had an Instagram account, and you know, you get all these comments and likes and things, and you just think, oh, this is great. But ultimately, I think it's more damaging because the internet's forever. You can't get rid of that.
Thank you for watching Andrew Says. If you want to see the full uncut version, go to rebelnewsplus.com and sign up today so you can see the entire episode where we talk about topics we can't show you on YouTube. They'll ban us.